Challenger disaster?
I think it hit each one of us individually a certain way. I know it shocked to us, me and my family, because we have been working here for a while.
But today, of course, all attention is focused on Discovery.
Right. It was great.
But tears to our eyes.
Yeah.
Tears to their eyes. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm Ann McDermott, CNN, reporting live at Edwards Air Force Base. Now back to Bernie Shaw.
Thank you, Ann. At the Johnson Space Center, John Holloman has been there ever since he left the Kennedy Space Center once Discovery lifted off on Thursday morning. John?
Pretty exciting time here, Bernie. You know, you and I watched that Discovery liftoff together in Florida, and now it's down safely. I'm here with one of the engineers who works at the Johnson Space Center maintaining the equipment that the astronauts train on every day when they are not in the actual shuttle on a mission, Juan Gomez. Mr. Gomez, what did you think when you saw the wheels all touch down a few minutes ago?
Oh, the first few moments, kind of like excited, It brought back a lot of old memories, we hadn't seen this in a while.
Yeah, the people that Ann McDermott was just talking to in California said the same thing. Old good memories.
Old good memories, it really was. We more or less anticipated this would be successful, but then again, there's always that chance, but thank God it wasn't, It was good.
In your work here, do you have much contact with the astronauts, or is mostly what you work on the equipment itself?
No, with the astronauts themselves, no, not actually. A lot of the work that I do or work with in turn gets turned over to the astronauts, and they use it for training.
Yeah, when you were down below us here on the floor looking at this on a big television set, and as soon as the touchdown was complete, there was a big cheer.
Oh, yeah, gosh, like I said, this brought back old memories, and we hadn't seen it for a while, and it just kind of makes us feel good to be back on the road again. That's our business,
Yeah, do you think it's going to be fairly easy for NASA to keep the crews in training for the future missions?
Oh, I would say more likely, yeah.
All right, Juan Gomez, thank you very much.
Another thing, I'm an engineering technician. You said engineer?
Yep.
Engineering technician.
Right. And you're also a very excited man.
Yeah.
Bernie, that's it from here for now.
Listening to Mr. Gomez, I'm reminded, if you were with us live yesterday morning, we carried the news conference of the Shuttle Discovery crew, and one of the reporter's questions from the ground from Houston, a reporter asked, what is the contribution of Hispanic Americans to the NASA space program? And Juan Gomez, obviously an example of the contribution made by Spanish surnamed Americans to this nation's space effort. We will continue our live coverage. Discovery is on the ground, but there's still some buttoning up going on, and we'll bring all that to you when we return. Resting there at the end of runway 17 in the Mojave Desert with all the support crews doing what they call safing the vehicle. And a lot of times in our extended coverage, those of us working intimately and intensely on a story might think that everyone in the world is as preoccupied with the story as we are, but we know that's not the case. And we know that you mainly tuned in Thursday, many of you, to see that she got off safely, and you tuned in this afternoon, morning where you might be, to make sure that she returned safely. But just in case you missed what was accomplished on this 4-day mission, Tony Clark in Houston has prepared this report.
It took NASA 32 months of redesigning and retesting to put Discovery back on the launch pad, only to have nicer than normal weather delay the launch an hour.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Everyone seemed to hold their breath as Discovery soared skyward. The memory of the Challenger disaster on launch was on everyone's mind.
I just remember standing there and looking at my daughter, and I think this was 2 minutes before, and the tears were pouring out of her eyes, and I remember thinking, now why is she doing that, and then realizing I was doing the same thing.
It certainly was a lot more anxiety-producing than we had anticipated, or at least I had. Throughout the entire ascent.
The redesigned solid rocket boosters and main shuttle engines appeared to work well, sending the 5 astronauts into an orbit 184 miles above Earth. Deploying the massive 5,000-pound tracking and data relay satellite was the first order of business.
There you see it, very smooth separation. We heard nothing and felt nothing in the cabin when that separated.
It looks great, Mike.
TDRS, as the satellite is called, is part of a planned 3-satellite communications network. designed to give ground controllers almost constant contact with the shuttle and numerous other satellites. Once it was sent off toward its orbit, 22,000 miles above the Pacific Ocean, Pinky Nelson and Mike Lounge opened up the mid-deck lockers and pulled out nearly a dozen scientific, technical, and medical experiments.
The wire glowed pretty brightly.
The experiments ranged from growing crystals that may be used in the fight against AIDS to testing the strength of titanium metal, both in the microgravity of space and on Earth. That experiment, developed by student Bruce Lloyd, is aimed at developing stronger, lighter metals that can be used to improve future aircraft. As for his aircraft, Commander Rick Houck said it worked just super, though there were some nagging glitches. There were problems with a KU-band antenna which sends back television signals from the shuttle. One of the remote pointing controls to the left ohms engine lost power, and an evaporator system duct got clogged with ice, making the crew compartment a bit warm for the first couple of days. But all that was taken in stride.
Good morning, Discovery!
As they circled the Earth, the crew saw dozens of mornings dawn below, and they shared their spectacular views with all of us.
So it's pretty cloudy in Houston today.
That's affirmative.
New Orleans is nice and clear, though.
From what we can see, you guys have a fantastic view.
The blue Earth, set against the blackness of space, is something Dave Hilmer says he'll never forget. Nor will he forget the lightheartedness that comes with floating through space, performing no-hands acrobatics, and donning Hawaiian shirts for a little shuttle sunning and surfing.
Yeah, we'll have fun, 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 till we gotta put the shuttle away. Fun, fun, till we gotta we'll have fun.
All too quickly, it seemed, it was time to put the shuttle away. The men and their machine had accomplished what they set out to do, to return the United States to space, to pick up after the Challenger disaster, and carry on.
Today, up here where the blue sky turns to black, we can say at long last to Dick, Mike, Judy, to Ron and Al, and to Krista and Greg. Dear friends, we have resumed the journey that we promised to continue for you.
Tony Clark, CNN, Johnson Space Center.
Every time I see that picture and see the Challenger astronauts, what can you say after that? Discovery went up last Thursday. She's back down. The space program is off the ground again. And right now they are still going through procedures.
They're going through shutdown procedures on the shuttle.
Okay, and we're going to shut down momentarily, but at about a half hour from now, we'll be back to you to bring you coverage of the crew as they actually, a bit wobbly leg, come off the Discovery and come down that ramp and touch terra firma. For Bonnie Dunbar, I'm Bernard Shaw here in Atlanta, and we'll continue as our coverage continues. Let's line up for a picture. This is a picture, or one of a series of pictures that the Bush campaign wants. He has been involved in space during his 8 years in the administration. He is running to be President of the United States, and you might call it one of the perks of incumbency that he's able to do it. Michael Dukakis,
Vice President,
nowhere to be seen or heard.
To the crew to get a picture with the Admiral Truly and the NASA administrator.
Our colleague and technical expert, Bonnie Dunbar Sega, is here with us. They don't seem to be wobbling as they move around. They're navigating rather well.
They seem to be in very good shape. I don't know if it's the 4 days or just had an opportunity to readapt in the room at the top of the stairs there, but they look like they've got a good sense of balance, and I think they look great.
Commander Houck now taking the Vice President around the nose of Discovery.
All the astronauts always thankful for the support they get from the men and women of NASA on the ground. And I thought for a moment he was going to go over and thank the crew. They've been thanking their colleagues ever since liftoff.
Well, I think we all feel very much the same. You don't put something like this into space without a lot of effort and dedication from thousands of people on the ground.
And certainly prayers for millions of people around this planet who are watching this flight very closely. If you're just tuning in, we're bringing you live coverage of the Discovery crew. They have walked down the stairs, and right now they're walking around the backside of the shuttle Discovery. And in tow is presidential candidate George Bush, the vice president, being shown quite a few things about this orbiter. You know this piece of machinery very intimately, from front to back.
Well, I wish I knew it better, but I have had the opportunity to work on it for a number of years, and it is a real tremendously awe-inspiring piece of work with all of the thousands of components and many systems that have to work synergistically.
George Bush ripped apart his schedule. Didn't want to miss this moment for anything. His Chief of Staff, Craig Fuller, there walking around the aft section of the orbiter wearing sunglasses. The NASA family members, or the astronaut families, they were supposed to be positioned in one location, but when NASA learned that the vice president wanted to be here, they had to move the families to another location, but NASA stressed that the families would be in an even better position. But NASA made it quite clear that by this man's coming to Edwards Air Force Base in California, it sort of made things a little difficult. But of course, if this agency can launch a shuttle and get it back safely, it certainly can make on-the-ground preparations for the Vice President of the United States. And I have no way of reading this candidate's mind, but you can believe critics can criticize him all they will and charge that this is a political appearance, but you can believe that George Bush is enjoying himself. He has a right to be here. He's the Vice President. He's a member of the administration. He has been interested in space. And I suspect that his attitude is, if you don't like it, tough. Now, these holes are actually rockets, or?
Well, those are the openings or cones for a reaction control system, and they're standing in front of the nose wheel landing gear door right now. You see it's open and the nose gear is down there. And of course you can see the individual tiles in front of the orbiter. Well over 30,000 of those on each shuttle.
George Bush congratulating the crew for about the umpteenth time now. Now he has the picture he wanted, and he's getting ready to take off and to continue his run for the presidency.
From CNN International.